Hello everybody. Today we have a bit of a different video, and I hope everybody's having a good day, or at least a not terrible day. I apologize because there will be a lot of Wednesday jumping up on the desk, and at one point she even knocks the camera over. But let's get on with the video. So I am going to unbox this little U2s. It's kind of like a Funko, but I think they're made by YouTube. My husband, I was having kind of a crummy day on Monday, and he was trying to cheer me up, so he bought me this super cute Astarion figurine. I thought it was a Funko at first, but it's so adorable. It has like the little something that he would say essentially on the back of the box, and it's so cute. It kind of reminds me of Loki because he's got the little dagger, and I thought it was adorable because I don't really have any Baldur's Gate merchandise. And you could see Wednesday, she just jumped past the desk to get onto the windowsill. But it is collectible, so it came in like this really nice box, and I was struggling to put it back, so I kind of had to cut part of the video out. Wednesday, once again, jumped over the camera and kind of knocked it a bit. So he brought me that, and he had also bought me this adorable Squishmallow because I like to collect plushies, and I have quite a few Squishmallows. He bought me this little koi fish. His name is Khalil, and he's so cute, so squishy. And I love how Squishmallows all have their own little bio and personality. And like it's just the most random stuff. Like some of them are like it'll just be like, "Oh, this one's an accountant," or this one I have one that's a mushroom, and his name is Pyle, and he's like a an accountant, or he works in a call center, and then by night he's a DJ. It's just so random. It makes me laugh. So he knew that that would cheer me up, and he brought me a little squish. So I was trying to get these scissors out to actually cut the tag off of him. I've had a really, really busy week, and I've been really exhausted. So I haven't had a lot of time to journal this week, but I have still filmed kind of vlog style content of what I've been doing. And I got these scissors at Hobby Lobby actually. They're so cute. They look like the scissors that were in that one episode of Over the Garden Wall. If you know, you know. But I was cutting his tag off because I actually keep the tags because I like to read back through them if I forget their names or just to make myself laugh. I collect all of the Squishmallow tags, and you'll see later, I'm gonna cut some footage in there, but I have quite a few Squishmallows, as you can see by the bag. I didn't used to collect them, but my husband bought me so many of them when I was dating him that I just started collecting them because I didn't realize how cute they were until he had bought me several, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, these are adorable." So I took Khalil back to sit in the Squishmallow corner with his little family. I love sitting in that corner, it's just so cozy, and I have a lot of Beanie Babies too that I've collected throughout the years. I'm trying to find better ways to display them because our room is pretty small, and I have a lot of other plushies from Build-A-Bear, from Jellycat, just various different brands, but I was really excited to film this video because I had found some really cool items at the thrift store. So, I had gone to the thrift store earlier in the week, and I found this kind of pouch. It's from a brand called This Is Ground. It's actually quite expensive, kinda fine leather goods brand. I got it for, like, 2 bucks at Texas Thrift, and it was brand new. I think it was, like, a toiletries case for the business class passengers because I had seen multiple of them, and I had seen them when I'd been there earlier, and I came back, and then I ended up getting them. I got one of them, I left the other ones, but they were all brand new. I guess somebody just didn't really know what to do with them, but I saw it and immediately thought, "Pencil case." So, the one I've been using is from Daiso, it's pretty torn up, so I decided that I was gonna put all of my highlighters and the pens I use and a couple other little things in there because I use those highlighters on a regular basis when I'm planning, and I got those at Daiso. They're really cute. They're, like, kind of muted colors because I don't like the super neon highlighters because it's too much for me to look at, and those are all my Zebra Sarasa pens. I love the muted colors of Zebra pens, as you can see, but everything fits perfectly in there, and it's a really nice pencil case. That's the other pen I use as well. I like using that one sometimes when I don't feel like using a fountain pen, but yeah, I really liked that case, and I found a couple of other little kinda toiletries cases, or you can use them as pencil cases. This one was from British Airways. I hadn't really ever heard of that brand, but I could tell that it was really, really nice material. That one was also $2. I'm pretty sure this one was also leather, and you'll just be surprised the stuff that you find at thrift stores that people have just donated or discarded, and a lot of times it's very cheap because I think people don't realize, um, the quality of something or the employees don't necessarily know what it is. This last one I got really excited about because it's from a high-end leather brand that was called Le Bear California. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it had some scuffs and stains, so I restored it, and leather conditioned it because it's made of full grain leather. It's really nice, and I think the inside's made of buffalo leather, but it was a brand of handmade leather goods and, like handbags from the '90s, I think, but they don't make bags anymore. I think they ended up shutting down, and I got this for $2. I was so excited to bring it home, and I'm just trying to figure out if I'm gonna use it in one of my bags or what I'm gonna do with it. But, yeah, I was really, really happy with my thrift store finds, and I'd actually been looking at This Is Ground for years because I don't know if you guys have ever followed, Sky Bambi. She used to use a lot of their leather products on her Instagram, and I always liked them, but they were very pricey. That was a little coin that my husband brought, and he also brought me a little lanyard. His place of employment had some kind of event at, a mall, and they had a little aquarium and a Legoland, so he brought me a couple of things from there. But What I'm gonna be doing in my notebook today is pretty different than what I usually do because I'm trying to design a plushie because as you can see, I love plushies and I love collecting them, but I sometimes struggle to find plushies that I actually like because I'm very picky with the plushies that I have. Most of the ones I have, if they're not a Squishmallow, they have been obtained on trips or they've just been gifts. I've also found plushies at thrift stores because, like I said earlier, you can find really great items at thrift stores, and sometimes they're even brand new. I've had a couple of times where I found plushies that are literally brand new, they still have the tags attached to them. So, those are always options if you don't want to spend retail price on a plushie. And definitely with the economy, the state of the economy nowadays, um, thrifting is the way to go. But I had seen this plushie online that was so cute, and it was like a really unique style of plushie that I've never really seen before in a store. And I looked at the price. I ended up finding the website where it was from. It's from a kind of like artisan plushie company. I don't know how to describe it. It's like essentially they are hand designed and handmade by a single person, I think. So of course they're going to be very expensive. I think the price I had seen for one of them was like $200 or something, which I will never try to tell a small business or an artist how they should or shouldn't price their art. So I thought it was adorable, but I obviously don't wanna spend $200 on a plushie because that's a little crazy in my opinion, but who knows how many hours it takes them to make it. But I decided that I would try to make one that was kind of similar myself. I tend to like plushies that have little beans in their hands and feet in their bottom because it makes them heavier. I have this big teddy bear from Jellycat that I sleep with because it's very kind of weighted and it has a nice feel to it. And I wanted to make a cat or a bunny or some other little animal and kind of see if I could make my own plushie and design it kind of a simple design because obviously I've never tried to sew a plushie before using my own sewing machine. I have in the past. I crochet, so I've done, like, crochet plushies that are kinda small and, I'll fill 'em with stuffing. I actually gave one to my sister when she got engaged. I crocheted her a little dog plushie, and I gave it to her. But I don't really tend to like crochet plushies for myself because of I have a lot of sensory issues, and the texture is just strange to me because I feel like I can poke a hole in them or they get caught on stuff, and I'm not very gentle with a lot of my stuffed animals because I like to carry them around the house with me or sleep with them and little things like that, or use them as pillows. So I wanted to make one myself that was made of fabric and stuffed with stuffing and had beads inside of it. So I decided to design or try to design something in my notebook and kind of brainstorm little ideas of perhaps the type of shape I wanted it to have. So I started drawing little outlines. The first one was a cat. And I think that out of all of the ones that I drew, which I'm not an artist, just forewarning everyone, this is purely just for my own use, I'm sketching them. And I know they probably won't look super cute because I'm sketching them with a pen and I'm not very good at drawing. I think yesterday I actually tried to make a plushie, but I was trying to crochet it and I got really frustrated and just kind of rage quit because I was using this extremely thick yarn. It's like an inch thick. It's very fluffy and soft, and it was just really difficult to work with, and it was not coming out to the shape I wanted it to. I was following a YouTube tutorial, just a very simple one, and it just it was not working or starting to look even anything close to a plushie. So I just kind of quit. And I have a sewing machine. I think I've mentioned in one of my other videos, I've used the sewing machine to make small bits of clothing and things like that. And I feel like, as far as plushies go, a sewing machine is probably going to be easier than crochet because when you're doing something with a crochet needle, you literally have to make sure that you don't miss stitches and you don't, get distracted. And I was doing this while my husband and I were having our nightly ritual of watching Murder She Wrote. So obviously I kept messing up and I just kind of gave up on it. But aside from the sensory problems that it would cause me, I have never really attempted to make a plushie on the sewing machine. So when we were at the Hobby Lobby, I was looking for soft fabrics that would be, um, I guess, what I consider plushy material, very just soft and nice to the touch. And we got some polyfill and some little plastic beads, the pellets that they sell for doll making. So I got a few of those items, and I like Hobby Lobby because everything's so cheap there. So you can ostensibly obtain the materials that you would need to make a plushie for a lot cheaper than actually purchasing a plushie of that size would be. So I'm hoping it does not look like an abomination when I'm done with it, but we'll see. I might make that a whole nother video. Also, I want to apologize. You're gonna notice that the camera is kind of tilted up a bit, and I'm out of frame because I had centered the camera perfectly above my desk, and in one of the times that Wednesday was jumping from the windowsill to my desk and then back up to the windowsill, she bumped the camera stand, and it kind of made my phone fall forwards a little bit, and it cut part of my notebook out of frame. So I will show the notebook at the end when I'm finished so you can see it up close. But I was sketching a bat and then a bunny and just trying to see what design I would end up liking after all. I think after everything, I probably will end up making the cat just because that seems the simplest design at the moment. And the less pieces of fabric you have to cut and stitch together, the more likely you are to have a cohesive design because there's less room for error. So I'm going to try making it at some point. I don't know if it will be this week. Like I said, this past week and weekend has been extremely busy. We had a special event going on this weekend, and I've just been so tired, and then we had some friends over to our house on Sunday, and, um, I I'm not somebody who's used to socializing multiple days in a row because it's hard for me just to really do anything that involves having contact with the general public or, people who are even acquaintances or friends. Um, I had a good time, but I just felt extremely drained the next day because having interactions with people, no matter who they are, drains me. Um, my husband's probably one of the only people who I'm okay with being around most of the time, obviously, or I wouldn't have married him. But yeah, so I've just been really tired trying to recharge my batteries this week because there has been so much going on, and as much as I would like to be able to interact with people every day and make conversation with people every day, it's extremely exhausting for me because almost it's almost, it comes like second nature to me to start masking, and I'm like, "Ooh, I gotta put on my best neurotypical performance," even though for the most part, the people that we're friends with are either neurodivergent themselves or they're very understanding of my situation. So I I don't know why I tend to do that. I guess it's just from years and years of being undiagnosed. That was all I knew was to mask and try to kind of assimilate myself to the people around me, even if I didn't understand social cues and I came off as sort of uncanny and off-putting. But I think that I'm at a fairly good place in my life as far as having a better understanding of myself and feeling comfortable in being myself because I know there are some people who are just kind of, um, I don't know, I feel like sometimes that people think that some of the things I like are kind of childlike in nature or they aren't quote unquote age appropriate, which I don't really understand that point of view. I don't think fun has an age limit. And I don't think, like, for example, collecting plushies is something that has an age bracket because it's not hurting anybody. Something that somebody like me enjoys and that comforts me and it's just fun. And my husband's very supportive, as you can tell, because he's the one who started the plushie collection. But, yeah, it's just I don't really understand when people make comments. I have seen sometimes people make comments like that. Thankfully, I don't have people like that in my life, but when I was younger, I remember people would sometimes try to make me feel bad because I liked stuffed animals or I liked, like, different things like coloring books and things like that, and I never really understood that because in my opinion, when somebody has that sort of outlook on life, it's because they're deeply unhappy and or they're just one of those people who thinks that um, trying to make other people feel bad or uncomfortable or making negative comments is somehow going to make them seem cool. And I've just never understood making being mean and bitter your whole personality, but I have met many such people in my life. Like I said, thankfully, I don't have anybody like that in my life right now, but when I was younger, I didn't really understand the motivations behind those kinds of behaviors, and it deeply affected me because I just had a lot of, um, periods of my life where I was being bullied, and oftentimes by people much older than me, which was really sad because, um, I'm in my late 20s, and when I look at, people who are, like, teenagers or early 20s, I just never could see myself, like, trying to bully them or behave like a mean girl or make them feel less than, because it's hard enough being that age and trying to find out who you are as a person, and when I look back on some of the experiences that I've had growing up, it just kind of boggles my mind to think that some of these people were in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and were behaving the way they did towards me because I look at people who are in their teens, even though I'm not that much older, I'm in my 20s, but even people just 10 years younger than me, I view them as, oh, must protect, like they're young, they're inexperienced, and why would I want to make them feel badly about themselves or try to knock their self-esteem down? It doesn't make any sense to me, but like I said, I had many such experiences growing up, and it affected me for a very, very long time until I kind of realized why I had the outlook of the world that I had, being that I was neurodivergent and I was I guess, outside of quote unquote the norm. But all this to say, I definitely don't ever wanna make anybody feel like that. Um, in fact, when we had some people over this weekend, one of, our friends was like, "Oh, I feel so safe in your apartment," you know? And I was like, "Good, that's exactly what I want. I want you to feel safe and comforted, and I don't want anybody to feel like they are less than or like they need to impress," you know? That sort of thing is for small talk scenarios where you don't really know people and you're trying to just get out of the interaction as quickly as possible. I don't like being fake, so I avoid those types of interactions. But one of our friends actually, she had said that she loves how many plushies I have because she's like, "Oh, it makes me feel better," because she's around my age and she's like, "I have plushies too." And I was like, "I don't see what's wrong with having them." I think maybe people from other generations might find it odd, but I think every generation has a thing they collect, and I just think people in my age bracket tend to collect things like plushies because there are certain things that, you know, seem very far away, like homeownership and the dumpster fire of the world we live in. My husband and I would like to one day own a home, but until we reach a certain income bracket, that's likely not going to be possible. So for the meantime, we just try to make our apartment as inviting and as cozy as possible, and I'm okay with that. I enjoy living in our cozy little apartment, and in the words of my friend who came over in the weekend, she said, "I think it's hilarious that we're the new adults." And I was like, "Yeah." And I'm hoping that us being the new adults, we can, I guess, not make some of the same mistakes that our parents or grandparents, the people who came before us did, because I never want to make somebody feel like the things that they do to kind of help regulate themselves and help calm their anxiety are bad, especially if they're not hurting anybody. So I'm a very anxious person, and that is really the reason why I like to collect little trinkets and plushies because they just give my brain a little hit of dopamine and they make me feel like, temporarily at least, like everything's gonna be okay. They're a small distraction. But as you can see, if I'm going back to the notebook here, again, I apologize for the tangents. I tend to get very off topic. The designs that I had was a cat, a bat, and a bunny, and I colored over them because even though the fabric I bought was gray, I wanted to make them all different colors just so they could stand out. And I added some little stickers into the page to make the page look like there was less white space because that was kind of bothering me, the big white spaces that there were. I ended up just doing the one page and I think it came out pretty cute. Thank you all for joining me today and hope you have a good rest of your week or at least a not terrible week. Bye.